Hello, welcome to How to Kill an Hour. My name is Marcus Bronzy. Today I'm joined by Gadgetsboy.
How's it going?
Nice to have you on the show, bro.
Thanks for having me, man.
Now, this bit of content that we're putting together is a response to age-old conversation that kind of every time a new bunch of handsets comes out, there's a conversation about all the different features. Today we're going to focus on the photographic quality on each of the handsets, right? So should we go through the handsets that we're quickly going to look at first?
Yeah.
We've got the S10.
S10 Plus to be exact.
S10 Plus to be exact, yeah. The iPhone XS. The One Plus
6T. And we've got the Huawei Mate20 Pro as well. And
the Pixel XL3. Pixel 3 XL. Right, I'm not going to repeat that correctly any other time in this video. But so what we did is we basically took a bunch of photos at the same place at the same time, and we're going to review them and look at them. So just to give you all the info that we've got, or full disclosure, should we say, we have not tampered with these photos in any way other than selecting focus, right?
That's right.
And we may have taken a couple of photos each time, but it was just to make sure that the framing was right.
Yeah, and to clarify as well, when we say select focus is for the aperture mode, the bokeh effect. Yeah. You have to tap the subject before it picks it up. Exactly,
right. So the first thing we're going to go through is just when you open the camera in each of these devices and take a photo, right? So we're in Regent's Park, and the first thing is the S10 Plus. So we took a photo with it. Well, you should be able to see it. We can see it. So, I mean, you know, this is the first thing we're looking at. So obviously we've got nothing to compare it against, but I think it's pretty good. Pretty good exposure. Looks all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's such a good day to test it as well, because the weather wasn't so bright and blue skies and all that stuff. And I say that because I was saying that to you before, that when the weather's nice and you got blue skies and whatnot, I believe every phone cameras out there can perform really well. So this is a true test of their capabilities and how well they perform.
Exactly. So
but, I digress.
No, that's cool. No, you're right. It was a very grey day, so it was cool. So next we've got the iPhone. So the difference between that and the S10 Plus is, it's done quite well here. It's done all right here.
Yeah.
The colours are slightly less pop
punchy,
to them, I feel. I feel like there's more punch from the S10 Plus. But yeah, not much to report here. It's done all right, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. The One Plus 6T. Again, it's performed all right.
Yeah.
Pretty happy with the colours?
I almost feel like this one's just a tiny wee bit washed out, in the sense that you can tell there that it's kind of struggling with applying enough exposure to the foreground, compared to when you then look at the far right to the back. If you see the chair at the back there, you start to lose exposure there. So it's very bright to the naked eyes, but when you start digging into it, you can tell that the dynamic range is suffering a little bit there.
And the Mate20 Pro.
This one, I think, again, I like it, but in my opinion, I feel like when you go to the back there, you can see the trees, they're very soft. Focused.
Again, very soft.
Yeah. So someone like me would then have to sharpen that up a bit.
So crisp at the front, very crisp. If you look at the flowers at the front left, very good, but quite soft at the back.
At the back,
So that's just when you open up the camera and use it.
You just take photo,
Right. Next up, we got portrait mode, right? So we've got the S10 Plus portrait mode. This is quite an interesting thing, isn't it? Because a couple of the cameras we had to be a bit closer, a bit further away. The S10 Plus, we just whipped it out, and I believe we just took a photo, right?
Well, that one we did S10. All the brands call it different things. So S10 Plus, they call theirs live mode. I think it was. But the issue with the Samsung at the moment, I don't know if they will update the software, but from experience, when you do portrait mode on the phones, you should be taking it using the telephoto lens because of the focal range, or focal length rather. So when you do this, you'll notice that the S10 Plus is using the wide angle, so it's kind of wide. Yeah. Which then means the photo kind of suffers a little bit. If you look at the bottom there, everything, even the whole of the bottom, screen, almost to the curve of the flowers there, everything's in focus. It doesn't quite, it's not as uniformed as the other ones, which we'll see in a bit, but everything else is nice and blurry. And when it comes to portrait, we might have to zoom in to check the edges of the actual subject as well, to make sure that the edge detection works really well. Because that's all the manufacturers, they try and tell you that it mimics what a 55mm lens can do on a Sony camera or something, but the reality of it is software is in play here. It's not actual.
There's a lot of software use, and sometimes it works really well, and sometimes well, there's always improvements to be made, I think, because when you're taking pictures, it's always such a dynamic foreground and background that it's really hard to program something to be perfect everywhere. Yeah,
so I think for the S10 Plus, if anyone was to buy that, yes, it'll work really well, but you'd have to get your subject a little bit closer to yourself, and then you get better results.
Exactly. This is the Pixel 3 this time around. We were quite happy with this, weren't we?
I think it's beautiful. Like, if you look at straight away, as soon as you look at it, it's punchy. The colours are really nice. Even with the grey weather, you can see that the colours are quite accurate as well. Again, it suffers a little bit from making sure that everything's out to focus.
So the
Again,
bottom right, there's a little bit of a wobble there. Yeah,
things are in focus there. But if we overlook that and go straight to the subject, we probably shouldn't overlook it for a fair test. But you get what I mean? You can see that the middle bit there. It's cool. Very much
nice.
Edge detection there is just perfect.
Perfect, right. You got the OnePlus 6T here. I mean, first off, it looks pretty nice. I've noticed that there's not, on this one, it's done very well to not accidentally unsoften any other part other than keeping that bush in focus. That's
right. I think it's this one is a dark horse for me. It kind of surprised me because I wasn't expecting it to be this good. Yeah. Even like the aspect ratio, everything's how it should be, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, good framing.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks.
Is this the one we have to step? Is this the one we have to step a bit closer with as well?
It is. Yeah. Because what it does is when you try and take a photo in portrait mode, it tells you when the depth effect is on. Yeah. So you kind of have to move until it goes green. So we've had to step in when it went green and took the picture.
Had to step on a couple of flowers. We didn't step on any flowers. The Mate 20 Pro. This was a bit of a weird one for us, wasn't it? I feel like we struggled. There's a couple of photos. Our first few attempts, we actually struggled because we needed to get a bit physically closer. So this here is us attempting to use it. Didn't work so well. Yeah. When we got a little bit closer, this is what we got. And this is the default setting for the portrait mode, or whatever you want to call it.
The strength of our
the strength. So it's like on a strength, is it like 2, 3 or 4 or something?
Something like that, yeah. I think with this one, because Huawei allows you to do portrait mode because they have 3 lenses. They have a telephoto, ultra wide and a normal wide angle. Because this one allows you to do portrait mode with all 3 lenses, so you can change the focal length.
Right.
This is where we struggle. So I feel like you have to decide how far what's the distance between you and the subject, and then go from there. Okay. That's why we've had to sort of go back to 1 times zoom.
From that, we had to go,
And then, so that one, I think out of all of them for me, the OnePlus did really well and the Pixel did really well. Yeah. The Pixel and the OnePlus, I feel like you could just take out your pocket, look at the subject, wait for the green light on the OnePlus. On the Pixel, it just does its thing.
All in camera, yeah.
Whereas the other ones, I feel like you've had to move back and forth a bit to get the job done.
Yeah, so portrait mode next is probably something that people use. I'm going to say it's one of the most used things. So this is important, right?
Yeah.
So this is me taking a photo with the back side of the camera, not the front, of someone else in portrait mode. Yeah. Flexing, looking at phones. If you're real cool, like, you're going to keep an eye on how many phones are in Tomi's hands in these photos. But anyway, this is the iPhone. First things first. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think the iPhone, again, out of pocket, did a great job. The only time where you can get nitpicky is when you look at my hair right at the top.
We'll zoom in on that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, forget to the right a bit. Yeah. It was struggling a little bit to differentiate between my hair and the tree color in the background because the colors are quite close. Yeah. Again,
it's done all right, isn't it?
If we're going to get technical, I would mark that down as something that's, I'd give that a minus on that.
Okay, that's why we got you, because you're the guy who's going to be strict with these,
I'd definitely do that. But yeah, with photography, it's all down to your preference. But if we're going to get technical,
Okay, let's see how the Mate 20 Pro works out.
This one, I really like the colors, like the blacks and the contrast and everything works out really well. If you look at the grass, even my jacket, it was like a true to life. This is the color of my jacket. Even down to the differentiation between the logo on the right side and the left shoulder, but to your eyes, to your right. Yeah. And then if you look at the hair as well, it's a lot more better. One could argue that I looked down a little bit more on the previous photo, but I still think this looks a lot better. But if we're going to get nitpicky again, if we look right by my left ear, you can see that it got confused a little bit. There's a bit of artifact artifacting going on there.
Okay, that's between like the fur
and
my fancy jacket and your hair and all
so
that.
So you got confused there.
All right, let's see how the One Plus 6T works out there. What are your thoughts on this one?
This one...
Jacket looks a little bit washed out, doesn't it?
Yeah, based on the fact that we took the flower one, and that was great in terms of bokeh effect.
Yeah.
Compared to taking it of a person, I think I was quite disappointed in this one. It looks a bit flat, washed out a bit. The contrast is not that deep. And
should we have a look at how it's done with your hair as well?
Yeah, great job with the fur.
Yeah, good. Yeah, soften it up a little bit.
That's where I thought it would struggle more than anything else. But I think even if you look at that bit there where you've got your mouse right now, you can still differentiate between the fur
right-hand side.
And those colours are really close. Even from my naked eyes, I don't think I could differentiate between those.
And what do you think around the top of the hairline here?
Poor.
Yeah.
Just straight poor.
Yeah. Poor.
I don't even know what else to say about that one.
Pixel
nailed the colours. Almost applied some HDR, which is good. It means that the colours pop and they look a lot more punchier than they would normally. But it still managed to keep the balance between over processing it and making sure that it's still true to life in terms of the colour of the jacket, my skin colour, my hair colour as well, and even the fur. Because if you notice the other one, the fur looks a lot more grey. Yeah. And the other ones, it's almost like the whole thing was grey, but no, it wasn't. It's actually got like a bit of like blonde effect and kind of stuff. But when you zoom in, then you see where it struggles on the left side of the fur. Yeah. And then this is like halo that is giving blur effect on top of my hair as well.
And if you know Gadgetsboy, there's no halo on top of his head ever.
Definitely no angel.
But all in all, we've got one more actually. Yeah. This is the S10 Plus. Let's see how that did. So slightly less of a bokeh effect. There is a slight softening around the edge. What are your thoughts on this?
But this one, if you remember, you can adjust the strength of the blur effect. But just taking out your pocket and taking a picture with it in that mode, this is what the phone thinks is the right thing. Okay. Until you've changed, adjust the slider.
All right, let's have a little zoom in and see.
But just out of there, again, colours look great. The hair differentiation there. Compared to the others, we can't really nail this one on the cross or crucify it as much.
All right. If you were to pick a favourite out of these, where would you be right now?
I think it would be between the Pixel and the S10 Plus for me.
Pixel and the S10 Plus. So next is another type of portrait mode or selfie mode on the cameras. So loads of people do this, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I'll let you intro this bit. Go on.
Yeah. No, I was going to say a lot of people do this now, and majority of all the flagship smartphones now have selfie portrait mode as well, which is everyone's doing it now. So it was only right we tested as well.
Yeah, man. So we've got these two smart traps, and this is the iPhone that we've got as the first picture here. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this? Go on, let me know what you think of this.
I think it did a great job here. There was no, I don't know if I can say it, Chinese beautify mode effect here. Is that appropriation, or should I?
Well, I think we'll see what the other ones look like, because I know what you're getting at there. Yeah.
So there's none of that. So the face looks absolutely fine. I mean, if I just
obviously,
that looks great.
I mean, around the edges, I mean, there's a little bit of some artifacts around the top of my hat, but nothing that really is major.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
It's almost doing a better job than the main camera on this selfie mode portrait.
Do you know what? Do you think that could be? It's the same sort of software they're using, but because the camera's a bit closer as well, maybe that helped. Because subject was closer in this one. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we might see an improvement. So let's look at the One Plus 6T and see.
Oh, Jesus.
Bit of beautifying going on there.
Lots of beautifying going on. I think some of them you can turn it off, but even when you turn it off, it just can't help itself.
So we lost a little bit of the fur between us, like the jacket that's between us.
A lot of this is out of focus. When it should have been. I think the way we were standing as well, you almost thought that you were the main subject and I was just in the background, if that makes sense.
I have that effect sometimes.
To the extent that you can't even see the logo on the.
You can't see your logo on the bottom left side of your jacket, or my zipper. Okay, cool. Pixel XL3. See if it performs again. Ooh, all right.
I haven't even seen the rest yet, but this is already my favorite.
That's looking like the detail. So let's zoomed out. That's fine. If you compare, you mentioned your jacket. Here. So if you zoom in on your jacket.
Look at the logo, detail, man.
Detail there is very good. Around the fur, which is always a challenge, it's done very well. In fact, the front-facing cameras have done quite well. Your hair, that is really
good. Is on point.
Yeah.
Apart from
a couple of
just a little bit there.
The detail in it though, like of the fur, the hat.
I think this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that.
That's definitely good.
S10 Plus.
Again, beautify mode in action here. I don't know why. Like, it's too much.
Okay. Let's move on. We're not happy with that, are we?
No, it's too soft.
And the Mate 20 Pro super beautify mode. Wow, I look like a cartoon character, bruv.
This one, white balance is off.
Yeah.
Beautify mode is in full effect.
Yeah.
Besides that, detail, let's give it some, silver lining here.
Of course.
The details in the fur, the edges, everything, I think it's almost there.
It's done very well on the left hand side.
Yeah.
That detail around your furs, that's a very hard thing for software to handle.
In general.
I don't know why you seem to have a line on your face there.
Oh yeah.
And there's a line there. I don't know what that is. I don't know if
we'll wipe the lenses.
That could be a bit of
we'll definitely wipe the lenses to make sure.
Yeah, all right.
So,
but out of these, what do you think did well today?
I think Pixel for me wins this one.
So the next test is looking at how the cameras work with picking up different colors. So we found a kind of colorful flower bed. So first things first is the Mate 20 Pro. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts?
Colors are great, but in terms of focus here, because there's a lot going on. If you look at the bottom left area, it's a lot of it is out of focus, like there. But other than that, if we're just going by color accuracy, I think this is very much so what we saw. Like the greens are not too washed out, even the different gradients of green, like here, versus the grass further down on the dynamic range, I think is great.
Cool. This is the One Plus 6T.
Yeah.
It looks slightly washed out. Again, we've not tweaked any of these photos, so this is what you get out of the camera, out of the phone.
And the way you know that this is very washed out is the pink on the left, middle left of the screen. You can see that pink is very flat. And then if you go to the right side where you got the plants by the mini tree edge there on the far right, you can see that the green's like almost turning grey. Yeah.
Which brings us on to the iPhone XS.
This is great. I think this does a very accurate job. If you can see it, if you compare that pink to the previous one, you can tell that this pink is much more.
Let's flip back to the One Plus 6.
Yeah,
there you go.
You can see the difference there.
And back to the iPhone.
Definitely much better. Even if you look at the right to the bottom in the middle of the screen, where the leaf's almost dying.
Yeah,
you see how accurate that is as well. It's so
it's so on point. Punchy.
Yeah.
All right. The Pixel XL3. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think white balance was off. It's too warm around the flowers because I think don't quote me on this. I think they use AI as well to try and see what the scene to recognize the scene. So I think here they recognize this is flowers, so they're trying to put warmth on it to make it more. It's a flower.
Pretty.
They don't want it to look dead.
And the S10 Plus.
S10 natural colors, everything's in focus, which I really like. That's what your eyes see when you take this kind of photos, and it should replicate that essentially.
Good pink.
Good pink.
Yeah.
Even this bit here in the middle,
the bush separating the darker pink and the light.
Yeah. I think it's great the way it separates the colors accurately. Yeah. The tip of the leaves where they're like going yellow, they're great as well. I think it's
Is that your favourite out of the bunch of them, do you think?
I think I like this one. Have we seen Pixel already?
We have, yeah. That's the Pixel XL3.
That's warm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the S10 here is one of my favourite. I think initially, automatically, I thought what was happening with the Pixel would happen with the Mate 20 Pro because they use AI as well to recognise the scene.
Right, next thing we're testing is when you get up close and personal with a camera, macro. So we found a nice pretty flower and we took a picture of it. First things first is the iPhone XS, 10S.
10S.
Yeah.
If you look here on the right side, right middle, you can see a bit of blur behind the
petals,
flower. The petals, that's the word. That shouldn't be that blurry there. But besides that, I think the point of this is to see the edges, like the edge of the petals. And you can see that he does well at the bottom, but when you go towards the top, that's where he struggles a little bit because it gets brighter there with the background. Yeah. But he should be able to recognize the foreground from background there. So he should have done a better job, I think.
Yeah. Next up, Mate 20 Pro.
Mate 20 Pro, I love the contrast in there. Again, preference here. I think it's preference over anything technical here in the sense that like the leaf, he's obviously taking the petals at the front as what's in focus, and whatever's behind that more yellow petals there, he's kind of differentiated, like separated them as foreground and background.
Yeah. One Plus 6T.
Done a great job as well. Again, this one surprised me.
Good. Yeah, you can see the pollen on the actual bits of the flower, the inside. I don't know what that bit is. The inside of the flower. I knew at school. I don't know now. But yeah, you can actually see the pollen, the crispiness, and around the petals. What are your thoughts?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Even at the bottom right there where it separates, like it's all in
chip in the leaf, in the petal.
Yeah,
cool.
It's nice.
Right, now onto the Pixel XL3, which has done pretty well throughout this test.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah. Again, you can see the pollen, and as you said, Tommy, to get the crispness around the edge of the petals is kind of the point of this as well, right? It's done quite well at the bottom right. Yeah,
and you know what's also my favourite? The water droplets on the petal.
Oh, damn.
On the bottom.
Look at those.
It's in focus and it's detailed as well, which is really good.
Nice. There's also, actually, if you look carefully, there's also a water drop, I think. Is that a water drop in the middle of the flower as well?
It might just be you spitting on the screen.
Yeah, right, next
it's on the flower. It's on the flower.
S10 Plus, which I
think that's on par with the Pixel.
Yeah,
I think it's exactly the same. Even if you go back and forth quickly.
Maybe the top left of the flower it's done a little bit better on.
Oh, on the S10.
Yeah, on the S10 Plus. Yeah, look.
Yes,
the top left and the middle. So we're just flicking between it right now. The one this is the XL3.
I'm going S10 on this one.
Yeah. Very well. So next up is a new feature that we've got on a couple of the handsets that have dropped in early 2019, and that's the wide-angle lens. Is there a couple of ways?
Ultra wide angle.
Okay, cool. So ultra wide angle.
Samsung call it super wide, I think, and then Huawei calls theirs ultra wide, but essentially they all mean the same thing.
Okay, cool. So to give you a little benchmark, to give you an example of what a regular picture looks like, this is the 10S, a regular photo we've taken outside Marylebone. So next up, we'll look at how the S10 Plus works.
S10 Plus just gets everything in it.
And this is the same position.
Same position, we didn't move, apart from wait for people to walk past.
Yeah. That's a lot more. Yeah.
And even then, what my issue with ultra wide angle lenses is the fisheye effect.
Yeah.
The lens distortion. So you get a little bit of that on the left side, especially here, if you can see.
Yeah.
And at the top, you struggle to get the cross. Piece on the top of the roof. But ultimately, if you're going to be out and about and you're taking pictures with this, the point we're trying to prove here is we're standing right in front of this building and you're still able to capture the whole thing.
You've gone from that which is the 10S to this.
To that without moving.
Yeah, so let's see how the Mate20 Pro gets on with it. Okay, so the lens distortion wise, I'd say before we go for the negatives, with lens distortion wise, I feel like there's less.
There's less on this, there's less fisheye effect, which some people might prefer. Again, it's a preference thing there, I think. Yeah. For me personally, I'd rather have everything in and then I can correct it afterwards. But if we look at it from a perspective of someone else who doesn't have time to do all that, they just want to take a picture and share it, then this is great compared to the S10.
Okay, and we have slightly less in the image though, so we'll just flip back to the S10, got the whole of one Marylebone in, Mate20 Pro.
Yeah, and it's a lot warmer as well because again, if you turn Master AI on, which is what Huawei calls it, you recognize that as a building, then it starts to bring out all these colors and makes it a lot punchier
more
and
building
warmer.
Yeah. The next one is a hack, right? So I said, Tommy, look, this isn't a pano, but this isn't a wide angle, but what if we use the pano mode with the Pixel 3XL, because you can actually do pano up as well.
Yeah.
So you can do you can get a bit more up as well as going wide. So we did it, and this is what happened. A lot of distortion.
There's a lot of little big planet thing going on here in the sense that that building does not look that small on the sides, for example. It's not true to size to the scale. That's the word I was looking for.
Zoom in a little bit, it struggled a little bit. You
can see where the stitching took place.
Look at the left column. In the middle there's a little bit of stitching. Well, we gave it a go. But what do you think takes it here then?
I think S10 Plus.
S10 Plus
gives you everything you need, and then you can choose to correct the lens distortion. Also, on the S10 Plus, there's an option on there to actually do lens correction.
Right.
So you can switch that on, and then it might adjust that.
Right, so next up is something that I think is very relevant for consumers, for you using your camera phone. This is a low light settings. You're quite excited to test this out.
It's my favorite one because every time I grab a new phone that's come out, the first thing I go on is what's the low light performance like?
Exactly.
Because that's what everyone does now when they go out or whatever. You go for a dinner or whatever.
So we kind of so what we did is we turned off the lights in the studio and we had a little bit of light coming through the door from outside the studio coming in. It was pretty dark. It was very romantic. It was Netflix and chill. That's when the lights were in it. That's the setting of the lighting in here. It was very Netflix and chill.
I don't know what kind of Netflix and chill you're doing, but
the best kind, the darkest kind.
Wow.
So yeah, I kind of held the same post, and Tommy took some pictures. So this is the iPhone XS. Thoughts?
10S, it's right at the bottom there for me. He tried, but I think there's a lot of noise as soon as you start zooming in. So if you were going to crop this afterwards and put it on Instagram or something, you start to lose detail, and you can see how light is starting to pixelate a little bit. It looks like you've taken it with a potato rather than a phone. So no, that's a low performance in low light.
Let's see how the Mate20 Pro got on.
Mate20 Pro there for me, I think it's trying to compensate too many things. White balance is off. If you see your face, you're clearly not red/orange or whatever that is.
Bronzy, that's what I am. It's not the colour I am there yet.
No, it's not. Exactly. So I think, it's missed the mark just a little bit there. But again, this is something that it opens up the camera for a little bit longer in terms of exposure. So you can control that if you want to. But just naturally out of the pocket, I think it missed the mark a little bit.
Okay. That's the One Plus 6T.
Man, this one, white balance is just all over the gaff. Like, look how orange everything is. It's too warm.
And we zoomed in a little bit.
And there's zero detail. Look at that. It looks like a computer generate. It looks like a VGA camera. Jesus.
Take it to Tommy, don't like that one. Let's move swiftly on to the Pixel 3 XL.
This one for me nailed it. Like, he nailed it. Look at like we were saying earlier. Look at your
the wrinkles on my
your
jumper.
elbow, inside elbow. Yeah, it's really nice.
And let's zoom in on the face again because we were seeing a lot of detail being lost, and I think I've zoomed in a little bit more than last time. I've managed to keep detail around the hair, the little bits of beard that are growing.
White balance is good.
White balance is quite true as well.
Yeah, even the blues like in the background on the wall, like. For that level of lighting, I think that's done a great job.
Pretty happy with that?
Yeah.
Let's see how the Samsung S10.
A little caveat is the night mode on all of these. The only device that doesn't have a dedicated night mode is the Samsung one.
Okay. So what mode is this? What mode is this then?
It's still night mode, but scene recognition. So what Samsung is doing is looking at the scene and going, okay, there's not enough light here. So once I've taken a picture, I'm going to boost a certain area that I think should be boosted, but he doesn't overdo it. Yeah, because maybe struggles to measure the level of lighting in here. I don't know. But the other ones doesn't care. Again, actually, if I go from the top, if you go Mate20 Pro, that just opens up the lens a little bit for a certain amount of seconds. That's default on the Huawei, so it doesn't matter where you are. So I could go out where there's broad daylight, I can still use night mode, which for me is just no.
It's a bit odd to do that. There's no need
when you don't need it.
Yeah.
If you go to a One Plus, that one is all software. So like, I don't even know why it's there. It's just like they're forcing it. And that's just literally just boosting exposure and adjusting like white balance and like maybe some contrast. But
so what have Pixel done here? Because I'm going to obviously call this as your favorite.
Pixel, what they've done, which I really like, is they judge each situation by the amount of light that's in there. So if you open the door even ever so slightly more, the amount of time that it opens up for, which is I believe shutter speed maybe. Yeah, it's less.
Okay.
So like it would only open up for say like 2 seconds. Whereas if it's totally dark in here, it might open up longer for 10 seconds. So he judges that situation and opens up accordingly. So if you were to go outside in broad daylight and it knows that night mode is not night sight, which Google calls it, is not needed here, it won't do it. It would just go like a normal camera.
And it also recommended it to you, didn't it? It said, it's pretty dark in here. Do you want some night sight?
Night sight, yeah.
So those are the tests. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, and then the Samsung is just scene recognition. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So we've looked at loads of different modes on these phones. I'm going to leave the Samsung, the Pixel. I'm going to leave the Pixel XO3 up at the end of this now, just because I think that's your favorite for this. We've tested quite a few modes that people use day to day. Out of the box, we've not done any kind of tinkering or jiggery pokery with any of the photos. What has been your favorite camera out of all of these today for our test?
I'd say the Pixel.
You think that's kind of the all-round contender that's done well?
All-rounder, it just does the job each and every time, I think. It might have like nitpicky things that obviously for me, they're the things that I don't want to be tinkering with, but I'm still going to tweak my pictures anyway. Yeah. You know what I'm like.
You're in the settings. You're deep in the settings. You're in the manual settings.
Exactly.
You don't want to know the levels that he's on.
So I think out of the box, Pixel nails it for me there.
Okay,
definitely.
cool. All right, I think I've got to co-sign that as well. For this test here, I think the Pixel's done really, really well. We'd love to know what your thoughts are on these. If you agree, disagree with us, let us know in the comments. And yeah, that's been our 2019 test.
That was a lot of fun.
Some of the big, it was. It's very informative, isn't it? Because there's a lot of stuff that we weren't sure. So, for example, I'll say what was an interesting thing before we leave you is the selfie portrait mode on all the cameras was really good. Like I felt like that they all performed generally better when we did that compared to when I took a photo from quite far.
On the main compared to the main camera lens.
Compared to the main camera,
it could be the distance between you and the subjects, like you said earlier. So that could be a thing. I don't know. But definitely the Huawei needs to fix that white balance. I think it was warm. I think he was trying to compensate for the environment.
Yeah.
I know it's a gloomy day in London, but I don't need cheering up by making it warm.
All right. Anyway, thank you very much. Like we said, let us know in the comments below if you disagree or agree. There's plenty of ways to kill some time out there. Make sure you click like and subscribe. Make sure you check out Gadgetsboy. It's at Gadgetsboy on all social medias, isn't it?
Everywhere. Yeah.
Just Google him, man. He's at the top of Google as well. So that's Instagram Gadgetsboy, Twitter Gadgetsboy, and everything else Gadgetsboy. I've been Marcus Bronzy. This has been How to Kill an Hour. In the meantime, stay blessed.